Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. And those who are newly subscribed, thank you. Today we're going to begin by painting a easy, very simple watercolor Christmas card. And we're going to begin by wetting the paper. This is a very easy, beginner friendly way to make a Christmas card. I am using a Strathmore watercolor card, but you guys may use your watercolor paper and just, score it, fold it in half, score it, and or some people will take, I hate it when you lose a hair on a brush, and I want to get it off now. Okay, there we go. But, okay, we got this wet. I want to make sure it's wet pretty good, because I want to do wet on wet technique. And the best thing with this watercolor card is we're going to just use two colors. And the colors we're going to go ahead and use, I'm going to go ahead and put that aside and go with my smaller size 8 brush. But we are going to use ultramarine and burnt sienna. With these two colors, we are going to be able to make quite a few colors. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up while that water sits in the paper a little bit. I went ahead and I sprayed down my paint ahead of time so they could be nice and juicy. And then my burnt sienna, Indian red looks so close to burnt sienna. We're going to take some of that and we're going to make a really nice gray. That looks pretty good. Okay. Test it on a piece of paper. Yeah, that's wonderful. See how pretty and how quick. So we're going to go ahead and rinse the brush. I have my paper towel here. You always kind of want to have a paper towel nearby or a rag so you can wash your, so you can dab your brush. And we're going to begin by, I want to put a wash of this blue. Now you can go with a bigger brush, which I may end up switching to, because the smaller the brush is going to take forever. I'm going to go ahead and do that. We're just going to go back to this Princeton Neptune. Yeah, that's better. And we're just going to go all the way down. And I'm going to add a little bit of water. My brush is going to dry. And we're going to go down. Because I want it to go to a gradient. And I want it gives it more perspective. So what you're going to do is start at the top. And I'm taking my ultramarine. And it's a good idea before you guys start painting, about a couple minutes before, to go ahead and wet your paint. You want a little puddle. But we're going to make this guy pretty blue. And then the other thing you're going to need is either a white gel pen, some white acrylic, or some white gouache. I will be using white gouache. And then we're going to go ahead and let that dry. So friends, so now what we're going to do is, it's dry. We want to do one more coat. And I'm going to go ahead and speed up this part. Okay, now that we got that coat done, while the paint is still wet, we are going to go ahead and sprinkle some sea salt onto it. And what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to let it dry. But we're going to go ahead and, for now, we're just going to go ahead and sprinkle some salt. If you don't have any sea salt, regular salt will just work fine. It's just, this makes it a little coarser. So we're going to go ahead and let that dry. Okay, now that the paper's dry, I brushed off the salt. And you can see it left little white sprinkles. So now what we're going to do is we're going to wet this little A brush. I want to make sure my paint here is mixed up. And I made a thicker consistency of the burnt sienna and the ultramarine blue. And I like to take a fan brush, but you can use a round. And we're going to do some evergreen trees. And we're going to do 5. So we're going to put about 1 here. I want the tallest one in the center. Do 1 here. And then we'll mix the other ones in. And if you go to run out of color, you take some more ultramarine blue, because it's going to take a good bit of paint. If you don't want to use ultramarine blue, you can use indigo, Prussian blue, just Indothrone, just whatever darker blue you have. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take some burnt sienna and we're going to mix it in. And that's a little brown. That's a little gray. But then we can take some more blue. Take a lot of blue and mix it up. And you're going to find that a lot of the time you're going to spend more time mixing your paint than actual painting. Okay, that is a really nice consistency. It's a really pretty dark, and that's what we want. So then I like to take my brush and I just kind of, you know, kind of go up. I don't need to be perfect. And then I am going to start taking it, fanning it out. And I'm going to kind of go over this because I want the colors to not be super dark. Can make that a little taller and kind of go down. And then I leave spaces because I feel it makes the tree look a little bit more natural. So once again, kind of angling the brush. And we're going to make these little branches. You can use, my fan brush is a little on the smaller side, which I like. I don't work a lot on big scales. And then as we go down, I just kind of go across and loading the brush. And you want it to be fatter. And then once again, and if you only want 3, I don't know quite if we're going to put any more, but I like to fill in the areas. And just working the brush. As Bob Ross will say, we're making our happy trees. We're going to paint our little happy trees. How many of you guys watch Bob Ross? I know I miss him. I can honestly say his videos, so shout out to old Bob there. But anyway, I think I'm going to go ahead and I want to put a little smaller tree here. You know, when he said about happy accidents, he's so right. Things don't need to be absolutely perfect. Because in the real world, things aren't perfect. And I try to not to do an even number because it looks too made up. And it just, to me, composition-wise, it just looks better in not evens numbers. So I'm going to go here and I'm just kind of fanning that down, working it, adding some more brush strokes. And like I said, it don't need to be perfect because every tree is going to be different. So we have our 5 trees. I wanted the biggest one in the center. And then we're going to go ahead and let that dry and then wait for the next step. Okay, now that our painting is just about dry, what I am going to do is I wet my brush. And sometimes I like to add just a tiny little bit of water to my gouache because I don't want it super thick, not for what we're doing. So I get it to a little liquidy consistency, as you can see, and I like putting it on the fan brush. And then what I like to do is we're gonna stay on the top half, but I like to add some snow. And I like doing it with the fan brush because I can just control it a little better. And then once again, we're going to go ahead and put it on this little tree here. A little bit more. And then on this tree. And doing this, I just think it just makes it look that much more wintry. Like it has freshly snowed and then going down. I'm going to add a little bit more. And same thing with this. Kind of just dabbing it on till we get down below. And we'll add it. And this is kind of going to go into the paper a little bit. So it'll be okay. But we're just going to add the touches of snow. On these trees. There. And as you can see, it gives it a really just an overall nice snowy effect. So then what I like to do, you can't just have the snow on the trees. So with the fan brush, it just gives you a little bit more control, but you can use your round brush if that's what you're using. And I like to sprinkle on some splatter of the gouache. So this way, along with the salt that we used in the previous step, it can look like it's snowing. And then we'll add some to the trees and then let it dry. We're going to go ahead and I'm pulling the tape off slowly. And here is the final picture. Our very easy 2-color watercolor Christmas card. Thanks for watching, everybody. And have a great day. Bye.